Okay, this is the first demo that I'm going to do, other than the one that I tried to explain to you. The three things that we definitely do in order to create a feeling of air and space going back into the distance, and how we create that feeling that each one of these objects have weight and volume to it, which is called trompe-l'oeil, which means fool the eye. This is what the old masters did by creating textures, uh, real impasto texture in the light areas and thin and transparent in the dark areas of an object. And when you have all of that in uh, the negative area and in the positive area in the proper relationship, then you've done two things. You've created air and space and going back into the distance. This is an illusion that we're trying to create here, because we're painting on a two-dimensional surface. And when you get all of these objects, light, dark, bright, dull, and texture in the proper relationship, the positive shapes are the objects themselves to the negative area, which is the background, and the areas that are around your objects. And you created this feeling of air and space and going back into the distance. But when you also have your textures in the background and in the objects, with the right types of textures, like the light areas, you're going to have thick and impasto texture, and then in the dark areas you're going to have thin and transparent. The background, which I paint dark, and I have my set up, fixed up where the light's knocked off of that back there, then you've created this thin transparency. And when you have this light area here and warm area, and also real thick in the proper relationship to what's around it, then you've created this feeling of like this has weight and volume, and like you can pick it up actually. And so I'm not going to talk a whole lot more today, because these demos are not going to be about 15-20 minutes long. So I started here just so I wouldn't have to take a lot of time on doing this. I've got them kind of composed the way I want them. So I'm fixing to start painting right now. So I'm going to take a little raw sienna, raw umber, a little ultramarine blue, and I'm going to take some liquid. This is the medium that I use to thin my dark areas. I don't use this in my light areas at all, because I want my lights to be textural, real thick texture. So we just use this liquid in the dark areas to make them look thinner. So we're going to just fill this up real quick. And the process by which I go is more or less getting all this down and then coming back after it dries somewhat, and and refining it. So this is what we do, and right now I'm just trying to get this background filled up. I find that if I get this background in there, then I can better see what my values and my intensities are going to be in these objects. So the quicker I can get this background in the proper relationships, then the better off that I'm going to be as far as picking whatever values that I want to do. So I do that pretty quick. And one thing I should have done that I didn't think about doing is I'm going to move that orange over, because when I did this last night it wasn't moved. It was not over there. So I think I'll do that right now. I'll just take a little bit of this orange here and maybe a little transparent oxide red. Put this in here. And then we'll put a little raw umber in. I use a lot of raw umber to either darken something or either to kind of cool it down. So this orange is going to be over here. And so I'm just going to kind of get this in there as quick as I can. Just to kind of place it. That's all I'm doing right now, is placing it. And I want you to understand that that at this particular point, you've got to. What I'm gonna do is take just a little bit of my dark blue here, and I'm gonna take a little bit of that off. Except I'm not gonna make it quite that dark right now. Let's just kind of give us a dark blue here, like this. So basically what I'm doing is I'm painting edges. What does this edge do to this back here? What does this edge? This is almost all one value right here. But these two change. This is going to be lighter. This is going to be darker. But this is not going to be as dark. I'm gonna maybe put a little more raw umber in that, because this is getting a little too warm for me for this background here. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of that orange off right there, and it's got to be a lot darker because you got a shadow right here, and that it goes like this. So actually I'm painting this like you would piece a puzzle together, and so we're going to go. I want to get this filled up as quickly as possible. Now my grapes, I might have a little too many objects going this way, so I might just cut some of those down. And in fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to take a little transparent oxide red, maybe just a little bit of dark here. Taking just a little smaller paintbrush. Like this one right here, and I'm going, whoop, wrong one. Okay, so we're going to just do this, and basically what I'm doing here is just getting the contour. I'm not trying to paint each individual grape right now. I'm just going to put these down as a shape, and I probably ought to put just a little bit of liquid in that, but I'm not going to. And then I'll come back later and I'll pick out some of these grapes. These are red grapes, by the way. It's Gotta pull that down just a little bit, maybe that up. But right now I'm just trying to get all of this filled up. A little more liquid right here. This is actually the first time I've done something like this as for a YouTube. We got one of my friends is a computer guru, and he's gonna set me up an account, a YouTube account, and then we're gonna do this about every other week, and it might turn into something that I'm gonna do a little bit as I go along too, even after the old virus is gone. So you're continually drawing, but you're drawing with paint, but you never stop drawing. Now I'm gonna pull this down some right here, and basically what I like to do is to draw the biggest object that I have in here, and then draw everything else in proportion to that one object. So I've already kind of measured that pretty much. So we're going to maybe pull that in just a little bit, pull this in just a little bit right here, and then we're going to see that's in front, so we can put a little shadow up underneath there, a little shadow right here, just come down here, trying to get everything filled up. Now, well, those two grapes that's on that side right there, I might not put those in there right now. Okay, now I'm going to take my table color is raw sienna and a little raw umber and some white. That's usually because that's not really a brown table unless you're up looking down straight on it. It's not brown. If you'll notice, well, you can't see it, but in fact, I've got a lot of stuff I've got to do here to kind of fine-tune this process that I'm going through right now. So I'm basically just kind of flying by the seat of my pants right now. We'll get it down right. We'll get it down. Put a little more shadow right there underneath. That's what lifts it up off of the table. The edges on the dark side, it's got to be lost. You can't have a real hard edge over here and a real hard edge over there. It just it stops. This is where this object starts. This is where it ends over here. So you want to make it this to be like an illusion that it goes on around like that. So we're going to do this. This is shadow is off of this. I mean the light is off of this. So this is a shadow. And come down here like this. Continually drawing. Continually drawing. Okay, I pretty much got that where I want it. This is more round, this is more shorter. It's not as wide up here as it more elliptical than the orange on that side. So okay, so I'm gonna start with this vase right there, and I'm going to, since I've already got my dark here, in fact I can come on down here a little bit more, come around here, and then you got a shadow right here where this, and so we can we maybe take a little bit of this orange and maybe just a little yellow in here just to kind of make it